Welcome to Business Casual. I am Mihae Ahn, your host and author of The Stories We Tell and Perfectly Incomplete. Business Casual brings you unfiltered conversations with badass, inspiring, highly accomplished women. I am passionate about and believe in the power of sharing stories, our authentic, raw, incomplete stories, getting beyond the polished LinkedIn profiles to the real humans behind the titles. My guest today is Sinead Finnegan. Sinead works for International Justice Mission, the world's largest anti-trafficking organization, and she's deeply passionate about and committed to her organization's mission. Today's conversation was fun and inspiring, like every other conversation I've ever had with Sinead. Some key takeaways from our discussion include health is wealth. No is a full sentence. Where you were is not where you have to be. Please enjoy this heartfelt, inspiring, authentic conversation with Sinead. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. Thank you for joining.
I am so excited that you invited me to do this.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank you for joining.
congratulations that you're starting your own podcast. This is awesome.
Yes, I'm so excited. Just, people consume content differently, right? Some people like me, book nerd, like to read. Some people just don't. They don't want to like sit and read.
Right.
So how can we reach more people with all the stories that we have? Hence, I decided to try something new.
This is great. I'm excited.
Maybe to start, little bit about the work that you do, because I know you're
Yeah.
doing very important work and IJM is doing very important work. So yes,
Yeah,
please.
so I work for an organization. It's a human rights organization. Very passionate about this work. It's called International Justice Mission, or IJM. I've been there for 4 years, and I've moved from Director of Development into a donor engagement and events role. So I'm more operational than front-facing now, which I'm loving. IJM is the largest anti-trafficking, anti-slavery organization in the world. So we have a mandate to rescue, restore, but also protect vulnerable communities globally.
I'm sure there's so many proud moments that you have in your career with IJM, or even prior to you join IJM. Sure, there are many, but if you were to pick one, right, that you would love to share, what would that be?
Well, I guess it's so diverse between personal and work. If it was a work highlight or achievement, it would be facilitating a donor trip to Guatemala. So Guatemala, we were in Guatemala City, an extremely poor country. And the work that we look at there is violence against women and children. So we got to take, I think there was 8 donors on the trip. We got to visit the IGM Guatemala office. We got to see some of the partnerships that our team has established there between government offices as well as social workers. Then we got to visit a school called AMG. And this is where we met children who had been rescued, who had current cases in court. We got to have lunch with the children, play soccer with the children, and just to hear their dreams. We got to participate. So when they go through the restoration program or the aftercare program, they have a hero ceremony. So they're called up to the front with a parent or guardian and their social worker, and they get superhero capes put on them, and we got to pin a little pin, and it still makes me verklempt every time I talk about it because it was just such a beautiful, beautiful moment.
I remember attending some of your events, right? Hearing about the work that you do and the stories. It every time tears me up. Right? Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But yeah, the every time what I hear, yes, heartbreaking stories, but at the end, what I get out of that is hope,
The
like and
hope.
dreams and
Yes.
love. So yeah,
Yeah. And
thank you.
I mean, and that's the thing. These are terrible atrocities, terrible crimes. but when you see the hope it brings at the end, I mean, we've had survivors that have walked with us, or that, sorry, we've walked with them who are now lawyers and social workers themselves and are coming full circle to help protect, the people that they once were. So it's really beautiful to see the growth and then to see our teams in the field and the hard work that they do. And they're so passionate and caring about what they do that it's inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, I mean, work-wise, the achievement, I feel like every day that I show up to work at iJam is such a blessing for me, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to work at this organization.
Yes, yes. How about you as a person in your personal life?
Well, I mean, greatest achievement would be being a parent. That's it's and I know not everybody has that opportunity or not everybody wants that opportunity. But I'm in a blended family, so I have three older children that are my partners biologically, and then I have my son Dax, who just turned 19 in February, and it was just for me having Dax just changed the trajectory of my life. You
Yeah.
go from being I was wild and carefree and unafraid of anything, right? I was just
Yeah.
like down this path. I was in a toxic relationship. And then when I got pregnant, which was a surprise, it just changed everything. I left that relationship. I was 3 months pregnant. Um, Fought, to give my son the life that he deserved. At one point, I was working three jobs. So it was, and then I met my partner when I think my son was about 5 years old. So it was just getting to where I needed to be. And I tell my son, he saved my life at that point. Like we were meant to be together. I'm his parent, he's my son, but he's my best friend too. So who
Yes.
knows? We've been through the gamut, and now he's in university, on his way to becoming a lawyer. So actually all four kids are in university. Two are in master's programs. One's going to graduate this year to become a teacher, and then the youngest, my son, will is on his way to law school. So I feel like we've done something right.
Yes.
We're broke, but we're doing something right.
Man, I remember you sharing this story, your journey as mom, and I remember that clearly that you mentioned that your son is your best friend and meant to be together and so on. I have 6-year-old, she's turning 7, right? I really want to have that type of relationship continue to have that strong bond with her and be there for her. Yeah, good and bad. And yes, that's my dream.
And you know what, Mia, you will totally do it. I mean, well, what worked for me and Dax, obviously our situation is unique in some ways and not so unique to other people. Um, but I remember when he was really little, I promised that I would never lie to him about anything. And I don't. And it means age appropriate conversations, but it's, I just have always been honest with him, and we talk about feelings, we talk about life, and he questions everything. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the dinner table has become our gathering point where all the kids can talk about like anything's on the table. So,
Mhm.
and as parents, myself and my partner, we listen a lot. We give advice when we're asked. But it's just hearing them and hearing them grow in their ideas and thoughts and providing sort of a safe area for
Yes.
them to express themselves.
Yeah. It was for me, when I was growing up, I'm from Korea. Back home, the culture it wasn't as open as I want to be as
Right.
parent with my kid, and so there were things that I felt comfortable talking to my parents about, and there were many things that I no, absolutely no.
Agreed. I know I'm the same. I mean, I have an Irish background and it's sort of we're taught to Everything stays in the family. You don't talk about things outside. And then there's
Right.
appropriate topics and not appropriate topics. So I completely get it. Like it's sort of a closed culture as well.
Yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. As a mom, I have many stories already. My daughter is only turning 7, but already many moments that, oh my gosh, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
Am I completely ruining this another human being's life? Did you have any moments that you felt like out of depth?
Gosh, as a parent, I think all the time. I think, like you just said, am I going to ruin this
Yeah.
little human's life? I'm like, am I doing this right? Like it, but there's no rule book, right? I mean, I look at, I know my core values are love, knowledge, and truth. So that's
I
all I
like
can live
that.
by. So I mean, did I make mistakes? Yeah, of course I made mistakes. Like I mean, little things. I remember when Dax was, I think he had just started walking, and I went to a friend's pool with him, and he walked on the deck, and he ended up with like in his bare feet, he ended up with splinters in the bottom of his feet, and I had to pull every little splinter out when I got home. I'm like, I'm the worst parent ever. But it's it's silly little things. Should I have known better?
Yes.
So that I just didn't even think about it. Not if I mean he doesn't even remember. I'll tell him the story. He doesn't remember. There's no rule book, but I think I felt out of my depth like probably as soon as I had him. Like, what am I gonna do? And how did I deserve this? And am I going to keep this child alive? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what am I
Yeah.
going to do? So when he reached university this year, or this in September, I was like, oh my God, I did it. I kept him alive and he's in university. Like, this is fantastic. And he's a really great kid. Like, all four are really great kids. So, yeah, out of depth, probably all the time as a parent. Because you never know if you're making the right decision, but I just have to be guided by my values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, out of depth as a human, like as a woman, it was
Mm-hmm.
probably hitting menopause, which is like a
Mm-hmm.
complete shift. So, I mean, that was insane and something that I've really just figured out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I wish more people would talk about it. I wish more doctors would be more supportive about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if anyone's going through that, you've got to get your girl group together. And probably with parenthood too, like get your girl group together and just talk it out.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's doing different things, but information is out there on parenthood, or like in this case right now, what I'm talking about with menopause. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's I feel like we have to advocate for ourselves. And parenting, I think we know if we're going the right path, and then with any kind of health issues that come up, we have to do the research ourselves and advocate for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Yeah. The woman's health in general, right? For sure, menopause is one big one.
Yeah.
But women's health in general, there's so many misinformation out there and lack of research, lack of information, and that taboo topic, right?
Yeah.
People don't really talk about it.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I thought this lethargicness and this whatever I was going through, mood swings, I thought it was COVID. Thought it was like everything gets blamed on COVID, right? And then there
Yes.
was like weight gain and night sweats, and I'm like, this is something more. And my
Mm,
first doctor said, oh yeah, could be perimenopause, but welcome to the next 7 years of your life. And there was
right.
no solution offered,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I just wasn't willing to accept that.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. We did at Pursurvity, the women's group that we have, invited one of the family physicians who is passionate about women's health, and we did just our internal session with the doctor, Dr. Sheila, her name is, and the questions from our women about all of this. There are many of them. We did 2 sessions with her, I think 2 hour session each,
Right.
and it still wasn't enough to go through all of our questions because it's
Oh,
hard to, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Good for you. Good for you guys though for doing that. I mean, I know that workplaces I think are starting to recognize.
Mm-hmm.
that women need more support. I know
Yeah.
when I brought this up at IJM, like immediately our CEO Anu was like, like it's not that we brought in doctors, but she's like, if you guys aren't feeling well, or if you know you're not able or feeling capable of working because you're experiencing these things, take the time.
Yeah.
She was the first to say, just take the time, do what you need to do in order to find some kind of healing or some kind of satisfaction, or if you're tired, like rest. It's
Yes.
in order for us to be productive, we have to be our best selves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We don't we like, at work and personal life both people like to talk about success a lot more than failure
Yeah.
for sure. And social media trained us to share the shiny part of our life
Sure.
loudly and proudly, and not so shiny things we hide.
Hmm.
um, so if we just say f that, um, what would be the one of the failures that you experienced in life that helped you really grow?
um mine would probably be ignoring my health for a long time. Um, it's I would work and work and work, and this is not a testament to my work, this is myself. I would take on projects, I would always say yes, and then I wasn't listening to what was happening with me. My managers would tell me, take your loo time, relax a bit. I'm like, no, I need to get this done. And I always had this idea that if I wasn't there, the project was going to fail. And it's such like a misnomer. So ultimately I ended up with Hashimoto's, where my hair was falling out,
Mm-hmm.
my skin was so dry that it would bleed. I know that sounds like disgusting, but a whole bunch of different health things um, that forced me to really take a look at what was going on. So, I mean, that was probably, I mean, obviously there's work mistakes and stuff, but when you're going like this, it leads to things that happen at work. I remember once I reacted on a Teams chat, like stepped way out of line. But it was all a result of my health.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't happy. I wasn't feeling well. I hadn't slept in weeks.
Yeah.
And it all circles back. I mean, you say health is wealth. I feel like if you don't have health, like you're not living. Like you are actually just going to die earlier than
Mm-hmm.
you need to.
Yeah. Yeah. But isn't it so hard? I find I completely resonate with what you just said, because that would be one of the mistakes that I made too,
Yeah,
ignoring
you had
health.
your own health scare.
Yes, yes, exactly. I did had thyroid cancer, and
Hmm.
um yep, still managing that. It will be just ongoing journey, right? That the
Hmm.
managing
Yeah, for
your
sure.
health, but it is so easy to take it for granted when you have it.
It is. It's like everything's going well until it
Yeah.
isn't, right? So
Yes.
it's yeah, it definitely has to become a part of your lifestyle. For me, it's still a
Yes.
work in progress for me. I can look and I'd be like, oh, I didn't eat enough protein yesterday. But um but at the same time, I have learned to slow down. I have sat with my manager at work and been like,
Hmm.
I worked crazy last year and I want to have a real plan this year,
Right.
and learn how to say no to things that aren't part of my mandates,
Right.
because that's a big problem that I have, is saying
Hmm.
no to other projects that
Yeah.
I don't need to be involved in.
Do you have any tips on saying no?
Oh my gosh, I said no, I think this week was probably my first time. And then I felt really bad. And I ended up
Yeah.
messaging my manager and I'm like, guess what? I said no, and the world didn't fall apart. And my colleague actually did the project herself and she wasn't angry with me. Um, I just think it comes down to the way we think about things. So if I'm saying no to you, it's not because I don't like you.
Yeah.
It's it's pretty much because if I take on that project, I'm not going to do it to the best of my ability.
Hmm.
I'm not going to do my other work to the best of my ability. I'm going to end up working overtime or on weekends to finish my tasks.
Yeah.
So I think if we think about it as first of all, no is a full sentence, saying no
Hmm.
out of love. You know, if it comes from a really heartfelt place,
Yes.
um, I think it's okay, and I think that people receive it really positively.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I agree. I'm on that journey too. Saying no is very, very difficult. And I think it is difficult for most humans because we want to see other people happy, right? Just
Yes.
as fellow human being, we want other people to be happy. So yeah, saying no is difficult. And because we know hearing no is difficult too,
Yeah.
because we know it can hurt, depending on whatever the circumstance. We don't want to create that feeling
Right.
for others because we're compassionate beings.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
it
then
is.
there's people pleasers, which is like, you know, empath people pleasers is a whole nother level. So,
Right.
yeah, so that was, but saying no is okay. I truly honestly believe if we're just doing it, if it comes from love and a place of love, it will be well received. And I'm still learning it, but I'm trying to refocus my thoughts around the word no, and it's not a negative thing. It can actually be quite positive.
Yeah. One thing that helped me in the work setting and personal setting too, but especially work setting, the fact that I say no to certain things that can give others opportunity to try new things and step up.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and
that's
that's exactly what happened this week. You know, my colleague was pretty proud of her work. She did send it to me. I made edits, which
yeah,
I was okay with. But yeah, it was great. It was great to see that she you know finished this project and she did a really great job.
nice. Yes. Who has been the biggest influence for you
Mm.
during your journey so far?
S- Cheesy as it may sound, I mean, I know you want something prolific probably as the assumption, but it's been my partner. I mean, he is so great. I mean, you meet him and he's very like rough on the outside, but um has the biggest heart. And again, as much as at that one point in my life, my son getting pregnant with my son saved part of my life, meeting my partner elevated my life.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, I mean, he believes in me, he challenges me, he leads by example. So and it's never, if I'm feeling down, he's always telling me how beautiful I am, what a kind person I am. Like, it's not, it was, it was something that someone I never thought I would meet. Um,
Mm.
and
How did
again,
you meet, by the way, Sinead?
oh, that's a big story. My dad was diagnosed with cancer, and I decided I was going to ride the Conquer Cancer ride. So I needed a bike, and my partner owns a bike shop.
Yes.
So I happened to go in, and he was working, and I just thought he was so handsome.
Oh.
Um, but he was at that point, he was separated, um, but going through a divorce. So he gave me tips, and I mean we were talking about, I was telling him my why for buying a bike and what I was doing, and his dad had passed away from cancer many years previously, and so he was encouraging me, and it was just it was a really nice connection. We became friends,
Mhm.
and that's what it was. We were just friends. We, you know, which is, I think, the basis of a lot of relationships and how they start. But to circle back, my dad ended up beating cancer and has been cancer free for 14 years, I think now, which is fantastic. And my partner ended up, you know, finishing off his divorce and signing papers. And it was still like a while after. I think he asked me out 5 times before I said yes. So, and then our first date was going on a bike ride, which was
Oh.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Didn't you mention you recently did another trip, a bike trip? Was it Italy?
We were in Italy a couple years ago. We went to Cozumel this year. So,
Nice.
and again, circling back with health journeys through menopause, I didn't ride. I think rode twice last year. And road cycling has been such a big part of my life over the years that
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So coming back, I did some training, and this was my birthday present, was to do this event. So we went to Cozumel, and beautiful Mexican island, and I thought it was going to be a gorgeous day, and we were going to ride, and he was up in his corral and I was a little further in my corral because obviously our levels are different. And it rained, like I can't even explain. Like the roads had flooded. There was probably almost 2 feet of water. Like every time I pedaled, my foot was going through the water. It was dirty water. I'm pretty sure it was sewage water. Um, and it rained for the entire ride. And I didn't think I was going to make it. I think I rode 80K. I believe it was an 80K ride. And I think I ended up coming 129th or 130th out of 400 people. Um, my partner came in 10th, but who's comparing? I was so happy. I was
Yes.
just, it was just such an accomplishment for me to be back on the bike and then to ride through that adversity. And then, of course, when I crossed the finish line, the sun came out, and I'm like, this is like Murphy's Law. Murphy is always around the corner. Yeah, so we still talk about it. And yeah, it was insane. We had white socks on. They were black. Like all my legs were black. It was just, but it's a great story now. So
Yes, for sure.
yes. And I've signed up for 2 more events this summer. So
Where are you going?
I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do Jack's ride. So it's a ride for children's mental health, which I think is really important. And
Yes.
then I'm going to do the base cell ride as well for heart and stroke. Yeah. And then I don't know, we'll probably travel next year, but it's just, I feel like, with the political climate this year, I feel everything's so uncertain that we're doing a renovation in the basement in case you hear noise. So that's sort of our treat to ourselves this year. We're putting in a
Yeah.
sauna down there. So
Oh, nice. Ah,
yeah.
that's really nice. Yeah, the heat and cold thing, I've heard multiple times how good they are for our health. So good for you.
Yes, thank you. This is all a part of our longevity health journey. So
Yes.
we've got the entire family's on board with this. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Um, so the next questions, I'm huge fan or advocate of storytelling because
Mm,
yeah, humans are storytellers, right?
yes.
We connect through stories, but we don't really share stories much. Even right when we think about work, I've heard, I'm marketer. I mean marketing, B2B, B2C marketing, common
Sure.
terms, and now people talk about B2H, business to humans, because humans want human connection. Humans don't
Mhm.
want to be talked by a company, a corporation, but by humans. So storytelling. Hence, my book is called The Story We Tell. And so, wanted to ask you what stories, if you pick one, let's say one story that you intentionally rewrote to create or shape your life the way that you want it to be.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think I think the story that I used to tell myself that I rewired or rewrote was that I'm not worthy. Um, that the world's against me, like I'm just
Yes.
not worthy. And it's a really lonely place to dwell in.
Mhm.
Um, and then even through the happy moments when I met my partner and stuff, I always just had this inkling that I'm not worthy, that they come first. The kids' achievements were my achievements. The kids'
Mhm.
failures were my failures. Like it was just everything was lived through a lens of others.
Yeah.
And I never felt worthy within, which was probably encompassed by shame and trauma as well. So it's taken a long time to rewire that. Um, and I had to really rewrite or relearn the idea of being gentle with myself. And then once I did that, it was kind of other other portals or other realities kind of opened up in front of me. Um, and I mean, one of the first things that I did, I read that book. What was it called? Eat, Pray, Love. Eat,
Yeah.
Pray, Love. And what really resonated with me in that book was when she was in India and she sat up on the roof and she forgave everybody in her life. And I did that. And it took days. Like it took days of sitting on my yoga mat.
Yeah.
And I wrote a list because I'm very visual that way. So I wrote a list and then I would go over the list and I would,
Mhm.
and some people was so hard for me to forgive them,
Yeah.
knowing that they're not gonna come back and say they're sorry to me or anything. But yeah, it took a really long time. But that was the beginning of rewriting my journey in it. Was to sit and forgive others, and mostly for myself,
Mhm.
just to let it go, release me from that past of hurt and shame and anger. Because I mean, we're all worthy. We're all worthy to live and to love, but if we don't believe it, then you're really blocked. Yeah, so that's
Yes.
probably the biggest thing. Yeah, I mean, now I'm telling myself there's a reason I'm here.
Mm.
Past being a parent, um, I'm finding joy in other people. And other people are coming to me, and I don't know if it's because I'm at another stage in my life where I can now mentor younger, mostly women. And so as we're going through it, I mean, I love my job. I love what I'm doing. There's so many stories. I mean, we tell the story of one all the time at IJM, right? With rescues. Um, a lot of times I see myself in some of the survivors, and there's not always, but there's some shared experience, or there's some sharing of the emotion, the shame and then the joy or the hope. Um, and so yeah, I'm living the story now that I'm worthy. I do have something to give back. Um, I can do it, whereas other I'd be like, oh, like even going for jobs, oh, I'm not qualified, or I'm not going to be the candidate, or nobody's going to like me when I walk in that room. And the other side of it is if they don't like me, then that's their challenge, their problem, and I'm going to let that happen. I've learned I can control what I can control, and to let everything else go.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not so serious all the time.
Yes.
Like we just take stuff so serious
Mhm.
that uh I'll be the first at work to like, you know, break out into a dance or say something like that's really off the cuff, and I can see it like shocks people, but we just need to we have one life. I've heard somebody say, we're dying a little bit every day, but it wasn't said in a negative way, but we have one life to live. We we need to, if we have the ability in the right environment, we need to embrace it, and I'm so grateful. So I'm grateful for everything around me these days.
Mhm.
And it's such a shift when you can embrace that, or when I was able to embrace that.
Oh yeah, I totally hear you. That went through imposter syndrome, still
Yes.
suffering it quite a bit. Yes, so I totally hear you. And the concept around, control what we can control. Wanting to control is also a very human thing, right? We
Hmm.
want to control what's around us, kind of survival mechanism that we have. Because if we can control, we have more bigger chances of surviving.
Yeah, you think so. Yeah, it does feel that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other side of it is if we have to control everything, then we're taking on the energies of all
Yes.
those other people. We're taking on the problems of all those other people.
Mhm.
Um, so it's just, I think I've become more focused on what is right around me and what is directly affecting my journey or my steps forward. If
Yes.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many things we can control,
Mhm.
like the stories we tell ourselves. But
Yeah.
I think we sometimes focus too much on what we cannot control and we're just obsessed on that,
Yeah.
as opposed to putting energy into the things we actually can control.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's so true. It's
yeah.
absolutely true. And I mean, that's probably based a lot on our like insecurities in life as well.
Yeah. Time flies, so we have just 5 minutes. So, is there anything that you do want to um, cover? Because there are many questions that I wanted to ask you, but we're gonna not gonna go through everything.
We'll
So,
do a session two.
I love that.
I just hope people are inspired, and I hope people recognize that where you were is not where you have to be. I'm a big advocate for if you've been through stuff, get the healing you need. Like therapy is not shameful.
No.
Um, Calling out to others or asking for help is not shameful. Whether you are starting your career or you're in leadership, um, find a mentor, find somebody to talk to, find your girl gang. You
Yes.
know, I think whether you're parenting or whether you're going through health challenges or health successes. I mean, I have a girlfriend that's just started running marathons like 3 years ago, and she is killing it out there, and she inspires me. I will never run, but she inspires me every day I see her,
Yes.
and as we talk. So I think in the world of work and living, I mean, I don't believe in a work-life balance. I just think it's a false nomer, but a
Yep.
harmony is, if you find that harmony and
Yes.
you live every day in your joy, um, I just think it's so important. I
Mhm.
just want us all to be able to live long lives and thrive and really enjoy what we're doing
Yes.
and be
Yes.
kind to other humans always.
Thank you. What is what is the legacy that you want to leave behind, Sinead?
Mm, I would I would hope that people remember me as kind and courageous. I think I love my life. I love my work. And I really hope that I'm remembered as a person who stands up for people, who cares about justice, and a person who I really deeply care about other people.
You are living just that. You are living your legacy right now. Like
Thank you.
everything you just said, that's you.
Thank you, Mihae. And thank you so much for having me on here. I'm truly touched.
Oh, well, thank you. I am so grateful that I met you through the peer group,
Yes,
McKay,
me as
and
well.
right.
And I can't
Yes.
wait to see you grow because you have just been like growing so much, and everybody read her books. Please do. And there's probably going to be like 10 more in the next 5 years, but book her as a speaker because she's great. I've heard her. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Mihae.
Yeah, thank you for being in my inner circle, Sinead. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember you have more agency than you often realize. Choose your stories. I'll see you next time.